Oh, hello, and thank you, and thanks to the Organization for Human Rights for hosting this honest discussion. I'm a contributing editor to Workers' World News, and I coordinate the work of the International Action Center. But over years, the question is always asked how to end the violence. And I think it's important to always state right up front, the only way to end the violence is to end the occupation. This is endless violence, and it is perpetrated because of the ironclad US support for Israel, an apartheid state. And more, there has to be attention on the extent of this aid, political, diplomatic. The visit of the US Secretary of State, Blinken, during this latest crisis, there he is standing hand in hand with Netanyahu, saying that they share core principles. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Principles of apartheid and racism and theft of land, genocide. But he's grandly stating we share core principles, we're partners stressed again and again. There's no interest, of course, in any sort of a peace plan. That's sheer hypocrisy. But I think that the focus on what is the extent of US aid to Israel needs to have attention every time. More than $3.3 billion a year. Israel is the largest recipient of aid in the world. And weapons, the most advanced weapons, and also funding to the Israeli arms industry. Now, $3.3 billion a year, $10 million a day, every day for 75 years. It's astronomical. It exceeds any amount of money you can think anywhere in the world or any country. Of course, there's every form of diplomatic support, whether in the UN, to countries around the world. It's because the US stands behind Israel in every one of these crimes that more and more extremist, right-wing, really fascist governments can be put into place because they know there's no cost to them. There's nothing that the US will do. They might wring their hands a bit once in a while. Now, Netanyahu came into office this latest time, promising to establish more settlements in the occupied territories and to normalize relations, Saudi Arabia and other states, to continue this process of normalization, which is an absolute fraud, while continuing ethnic cleansing on a massive scale, the expropriation of homes, more checkpoints, more separate roads, and definitely at every step, more political prisoners. The amount of US aid to Israel, it needs to be a focus of every campaign. It needs to be called out again and again, because Israel could not exist one day without these billions and billions of dollars cumulatively adding up. And in a real way, we ask ourselves, what is the purpose of this? It's in US interest to divide the entire region, keep countries poor and fighting each other. That's in US interests. It's in the interests of US oil corporations and banking and weapons and war industries. It's completely linked in every form Now, there have been countless UN resolutions in solidarity with the Palestinian struggle, even UN Security Council resolution. The US abstains and goes right ahead partnering with Israel. So we need to call this out. We need to draw attention to this. We need to say the extent of just how flagrant the violations are and the funding is, the funding, the weaponizing of this violence, the support for this violence, the exchange of technology, the training of the police, the Israeli police train US police, and we have the greatest violence right here in the US, 3 police killings a day, every day. So the violence continues, and more ultra-right extremists continue. The attack on Jenin is just the latest attack on Jenin. The continuing shootings, roundups, raids, prisoners. This meeting today, so important because it's, as I say, it's an honest discussion. You won't see that in the US corporate media. Every single article begins and ends with condemning Palestinian violence, talking about concern, a total fraud. So I think that's my one point of the day. It's usually my point is to talk about 3.3 billion a year, every year, $10 million a day, every day for 75 years, weapons endlessly and support endlessly. Thank you for this discussion. Let's really stand with Palestinian resistance that has also continued through all of these steps